And welcome back to the Book and Life podcast. Today we're going to have a brand new book guest on. Whether they're an author, an editor, a producer, you'll never quite know, so you're in for one hell of a ride. But today I just have to do the adverts and then I'll get us straight into that most important conversation. And as we do every week, I'm going to read The Shadow, which is part of the Time Guardian series, and this is book 4 from Marianne Curley. The battle is over, the war is won. The prophecy complete, but life can't just pick up where it left off for Ethan, struggling to cope with tragic loss. At odds with friends in the guard, he finds himself adrift, jumping in shadows and sensing someone who can't possibly be there. Blaming herself for the goddess Athena's death, Giselle swears revenge, to vilify the Immortals' plan for world domination. But Giselle hadn't planned on love, and that leaves her with an unbearable choice. Should she follow her heart, or the strings of a goddess short on praise but high on expectation, who continues to pull her from the grave? As the Guard and the Order battle through the past and into an impossible future, darkness lurks round every corner. The fight for the world's survival rests with just one. Is it friend or foe who stands in the shadow? And just a reminder that The Price of Freedom by Rosemary Rowan, is being donated to the Ukraine refugee crisis. And here's the blurb for her book. It's one of her Roman British crime series, which was written under her maiden name. All editions can be found online where all books are sold, even her agents donating her commission. Sorry, I don't have the blurb for that, but that's what she's doing. And now, without further ado, let's get you to the guests. Welcome back, guys, and as I said, I promised you a life-changing guest. He can do hot, he can do spicy, he can do sexy, and he can do smiles. And no, I'm not talking about Joe. So, we're going to bring in somebody that's going to put Joe to shame in the looks department. But I promise you, he's not an author, and this is going to be a wild ride. Without further ado, let's introduce Marcus.
Okay.
I did better though this time.
What's that?
I did better with my intro this time.
Oh, you did really well. It was shocking and surprising at the same time.
Yeah, I told you I thought about it because, like, I said to you
yeah.
before we started, I was like, I went for a walk and everything. But yeah, but to be fair, I've been kind of listening to Raven for like.
Oh, there we go.
24 hours. So.
Yeah, he is a talker. He does not know when to stop.
Yeah, well, no, I, cause my friend, she obsessively listens to wrestling podcasts. So, like, anytime anything to do with anything that's related to me comes out, she's like, tings me, right?
Yeah.
So, I think she's planning at some point to email him and be like, because you can email in the Raven Show, the fan stuff, right? And she so wants to email him in and go, what do you think of Crystal McCarrington doing wrestling erotica? Because she's wanting him to talk about it so bad. But I don't think he'll ever approach the subject because we're such a small group of writers who do it. Like, I don't think he has really kind of come across it. And I think he's still old school way of thinking, oh, it's smut. It's smut, you know? But, yeah.
We'll see. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and we'll see what he does.
Yeah, I keep telling my friend, don't do it, because I don't want that awkwardness of, did you really send that email, or I'll be like, no, it's like.
Well, as long as you don't send it, right? As long as you don't. I mean, if it's him, then if it's her, then it's like it's fine. Then it's Yeah. She did it on behalf of you, maybe, but not really.
Yeah, well, she does because I took her to Manchester. I thought it was Doncaster. I must have been really hammered that weekend, because I thought I was in Doncaster. But I was in Manchester, apparently. So, she had dug out all these 1PW. Remember I showed you the video of this?
Yeah.
So she dug out all these 1PW stuff, and the one shot I didn't put in the video was this night out we had before we went to the shows. I the most sober person in the group, but I'm telling the most inappropriate jokes, right? So there's this picture of me. Literally, my sides are like killing me from all the laughing we've been doing. And everyone's falling about laughing. And the security guard's trying to get this picture of us, right? It's just not happening. I think I made this story of, could you imagine if you get fucked by a seal? What would happen? And everyone just died. It was total random. I hadn't even like thought about it. I just opened my mouth and it fell out, kind of thing. Which, if you're around me, I say shit like that all the time.
Yeah, but what would happen? That's an interesting...
I don't know. Like, no, I was just like, I wonder what it would be like if a seal tried to fuck you. Like, I'd be bit by a seal, but never be
aggressive. So, I mean, that could go down pretty horribly, probably.
Yeah, it would, right?
Yeah.
So I said that.
Nice. Yeah.
That's been like my legendary joke with that group of girls that we went out with. Like, they never forgot that. Which is weird, because it's like, it's 12 years ago. 12 years ago, I think 3 or 4 days ago, that we went to 1PW. And I brought her as a gift for her passing her university course and graduating. But also, there was like a secret thing in there for me, like, I'm not going to a wrestling show on my own. I don't want to do this on my own. I don't know if I had a sixth sense that the guys are going to be like, weird or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not going on my own. And it was, like, I lost my bathing suit that weekend. Somebody stole my swimsuit out of the hotel room. I still don't know where that went. It's fucking random. Like, it was absolutely random. I found the girl in my room the first day. Second day, my bikini disappeared. Third day, oh my god, the hangover. We checked out on the third day, but I was like, I drank way too much. But here's the thing. The guys kept buying me drinks all night. And I had this, like, round table where we were sitting. 90% of the drinks on that table were mine. And I just hadn't gotten to them. So there's, like, 4 or 5 bottles of Blue Wicked. 5 shots of rum. I did do the shots of rum before I went to bed, though.
And this was in Manchester? Because I did a job in Birmingham.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's an department in the film when you make movies. It's like there's a department called facilities, basically, and what they do is they drive all the trucks and they just make sure that everything. That's where you have lunch, that's where you have breakfast. Blah, 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 blah. And these guys are like men. I mean, they drive in, and they do incredible. I mean, they park they have like all these. They have like a 3-piece like truck that they can just park on a dime. It's like it's incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
And then we were out having a couple of drinks, and what I didn't kind of really. I mean, I can kind of hold my own, but with these people, oh my god, we started partying at like 7, and I was done at 9. I was like, I'm going home. I'm going home. This is fun, but too much.
To be honest, like, I didn't realize till I went down for breakfast one morning with, I went down on my own. I was, like, coffee jonesing or something. And I had drank 2 of the wrestlers under the table, and I hadn't even fucking noticed. But at that time, I drank rum constantly. Like, if I drink rum, it has no effect on me whatsoever. It's weird. But if I drink other stuff, I crash really fast. Like, I'm a super lightweight if it's anything but rum. And I swear that's my genetics from my family, because my grandfather was a smuggler, right? He smuggled shit. We only found this out after he passed, but yeah, he used to smuggle. Well, no, actually, that's a lie. I knew he smuggled stuff when I was a teenager because I got my first set of cigarettes off him. Which is funny, because, like, I'm 13 years old. I think my grandfather thought I was 16. I was sitting in my house, and I lied to get out of school that day. I remember that much. I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to school today. I'm going to make shit up and just stay home. But my mom didn't trust me to stay home on my own, so she sent my grandfather around. And so he had those really old fisherman roll-ups. You remember those?
Yeah.
Like, it comes in a tin, and it's got, like, the really weird filters on them. So I didn't know he was coming. I'm outside smoking proper filtered cigarettes. And he was like, he caught me, basically. Caught me. And he's like, you're smoking? And I was like, yeah. Don't tell Mom. Because, like, I'm thinking I'm getting, my ass was going to get hot tonight. Like, my mom's going to scald me or whatever. And he goes, no. He says, come into the house. I want to show you something. He makes me roll his cigarettes. Now, I'd been doing this on and off since I was, like, 7. So he makes me roll them up. And he's like, right, now we're going to go outside and smoke. And I had to smoke 2 of his. Oh my God, were they awful.
Yeah, but I think there was this big thing. I don't know if this is the same in the UK, but in Sweden, people kept telling me that it was actually better for you to smoke if you rolled it yourself. It was actually better. This is way back. I mean, this is way back before people actually knew how bad cigarettes were. But if you roll them yourself and you smoke them, people went, that's more healthy because there's less chemicals than in the ones you buy.
Oh, really?
It's just like, this is bullshit.
Because he gave me a tin of Backy, right?
Yeah.
I can't roll these for shit. I never have been able to roll them for shit either. And so, because I used to make his too thick. Like, he used to get these I used to make them like little cigars. I don't know why. But anyway, so he gave me this tin, and I took it to college, and I thought, when I get really, really, really skint, I'll have the roll-ups. I ended up trading the roll-ups for drink instead. I got totally hammered that weekend. But I got nicknamed Pixie just as I went to college, because when I drink, I have a tendency, when I get to the really, really drunk part, I strip because I overheat. So
you strip. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
so my friends, like, I'd left the club before her, and I had gone back to the campus. Now, I had slept on a roundabout by this point. It took me like 4 hours to get home that night. So I had a nap on the roundabout, and then I had a nap. She found me in the bush, that's what it was. So there was this like little trail of clothes to the bush. And she finds me, my legs are up in the air, like my feet are literally on top of the bush, and I'm in the middle of the bush. Just like... So she wakes me up. I keep stripping on the way in. This is why my flatmates never locked our front door. So I get in, and I collapse in my room. She comes in the next day. She's the kind of person that doesn't really have hangovers.
I don't like
So she comes into my room the next day, and she pulls the curtains open, and she goes, "Good morning, pigs!" Pulls the curtains open, pulls my covers off me, and I'm just lying there like, fuck you! She's like, "Do you remember anything last night?" And I'm like, no. Because like, when I drink, I black. Like, everything. I don't get my memory back for like 4 days. And then I get it back in like bits and pieces, which is great for me, because then I can literally say to people, I don't know what the fuck I did. But not so great in 4 days' time when it all comes back and I'm like, I'm sorry, I remember what I did.
Did I do that?
You know, like... So that night, I had tried to beat up a guy who was a professional MMA fighter. Apparently. I still don't know why I did it. But she ended up, like, hooking me around the waist to try and stop me. Now, I kicked him in the gut. I was actually beating him, which was crazy in her mind. So she hooks me around the waist, and she's bruises all over her chest where I've been elbowing her. And then she has all these marks on her shins where I kicked the living crap out of her legs. And she literally dragged me inside and force-fed me coffee for like 2 hours.
Why were you fighting him? What happened? You know? No, I don't know.
He made the comment of, oh yeah, I remember what it was. Wrestling's for pussies. So you must want to be a pussy if you want to be with a guy that's a wrestler. And for some reason, she's like, you just went from Pix, the really happy-go-lucky, sexy stripper, to this sudden, I'm gonna fucking kill you, in like 2.3 seconds or something. And he had no recollection of what he said to me at all. And I didn't get it back for like 4 days, and then I was like, "Are you prick?" when I got my memory back, and he's like, "It's not what I meant to say." He said it totally came out wrong, so we ended up okay.
What did he mean though?
He meant that like I must think that like dating a wrestler was like a step down from dating an MMA guy. Was essentially what he was trying to say. And
depends on your perspective, of course.
Yeah, but he knew my life rules. He knew like I have the rule of never date a wrestler, never fuck a wrestler,
yeah,
never marry a wrestler, don't date a dance guy, and don't screw a dance guy. Those were my 5 rules, right?
Yeah.
So he figured because he was MMA, he could sleep with me because I wasn't breaking my rules, right? And it was just so funny, and because she had because we'd been doing the turn on contest in the kitchen before this, so my 2 male friends had turned her on, I had turned her on, and then it came to like my turn, and essentially I'm like, oh well, you guys are my type, and then they kind of took offense to that. And apparently that's when I turned around and said, you're I was like, I like guys who have at least experienced some debauchery.
There you go.
And then they were like, what's that mean? And of course, apparently I'm pissed as a fart, and I'm like, oh, well, I like guys with tattoos and scars, and guys that like to hit each other with steel chairs and stuff like that. And then, of course, my friend was like, basically she just wants to fuck Raven. So that was where, like, that legacy from college started. Like, anyone that was at college with me, if I would get drunk, because they all watched wrestling in the common room, and I'd come in and be like, you should watch ECW, this is shit, and then I'd walk out. It was like, it was just, like, apparently my thing. So yeah, that was, like, the legacy that followed me after that. And there was 2 guys that they didn't, like, chase me, I suppose, but there was 2 guys that, like, followed me, around college, and I tried to date in college, but it never worked out well. But I did totally, I screwed up 2 guys that was there. Like, we nicknamed one guy Tigger because he just literally bounced everywhere. Like, it was like he was constantly hyperactive. I love that guy to death. We still keep in touch. And the other guy was, we nicknamed him Bambi because he was like 6'9", and he was just all limbs. He was literally all limbs. And he would come down to mine, and I stutter when I drink. So there was like, I was taking a panic attack one night, and I was like, they're all laughing at me, and I'm going, shh, 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 shut the fuck up, and like all this sort of stuff, and they're literally lying on the concrete floor, dying, and I'm trying to like get something out, and I just couldn't get it out. So, yeah. But I used to also dance in ballet shoes in the car park at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I still don't know why I did that, but yeah.
Why not?
So that was
college
legacy for me.
You mentioned Tigger and Bambi. There's this new. Have you seen the new? Do you know the films We Need to Prove Blood and Honey?
No.
It's basically I forget the name of the director. It's a director producer, and he's basically taking like these old children's fairy tales, and he's like just reimagining them and saying, like, okay, so Christopher Robin left all his toys in whatever the forest is, the name of the forest that they're in, and he comes back later and is supposed to get married, and now these toys are just abandoned, and they're really upset. So it's just a murder. I haven't seen the films, but just the pitch of it sounds like just insane and fun. I mean, and that's what they're supposed to be. So, but they were made for like nothing, and they made millions. It's like so. And the next one, I think the next one is actually, I think it's Bambi, or if it's Peter Pan, I don't know which one it is. But he takes all the rights of books or plays that are now free, because I think it's 60 years after the
death of the author,
something like that, and then you can do whatever you want with it. So he's just taking these IPs and just I mean, just he's not ruining them, but he's like
rewriting them and kind of changing
and
them.
I love it. I'm not. This is no criticism at all. This is just.
Oh well, we criticize everything on this show. It's fine.
What's that?
We criticize everything on this show. It's fine.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I'm not. I'm in no way am I criticizing it. I think it's extremely funny. I haven't seen the film, so I don't know if what they're like. But it's like the idea is funny. So yeah.
So I guess we should really try and talk about waking before we forget. Waking up his wife. Yes, waking up his wife, which is the whole reason you're coming on today.
Yeah.
Joe and me do this, by the way. See, we were supposed to talk about the contract in our podcast.
Wow, and we didn't?
I think we talked for an hour about wrestling and all this other stuff. And we then eventually got to the contract thing, and it was 2 minutes we talked about the contract. Well, which is not the point of the whole podcast, but it's just me and Joe. Yeah. I don't think we ever stay on track, me and Joe. So yeah. So yeah, tell us about what made you want to do waking. Waking up his wife. Sorry, I keep shortening it.
It's just we call it waking because it's
easier.
Because it's easier, basically.
Yeah. And it's not the guy that I'm co-writing with at the moment, he'll tell me things like, "Oh, you can do BC. It's quicker than writing the whole word." And I'm like, "No, I like writing the whole word. I don't want to shorthand this."
You can do that in emails and text messages. You cannot do that in a script, though.
Exactly. Thank you. Because I have this argument with him every day. That I work with him, and it's so I do purposely write out the words. The other thing that I do, and this really annoys him, is how I write what is, and he always wants me to shorten it. So he's like, "People don't talk like that," and I'm like, when I wrote my promos, as he would call it, I wrote it out like that because I knew that if I wrote it in shorthand, I'd fuck it up and forget it. Yeah. Because I'd have to write it out and memorize it because I don't dance with glasses on, so I can't read anything. So, because Marie can actually see and Crystal actually can't. So it was kind of humorous. But yeah, he calls me on that all the time. So what was it about waking up his wife that you were like, this has got to be a film?
Well, the way, for me, the way it started was that, I mean, you and I met before I saw the project Waking Up His Wife. I mean, so we met first, and for a different project and for different reasons that's going to be done later. So it started there, and then basically you like in a very loosely you pitched it to me through during we were speaking about something. We had a meeting about this other project, and you said something about and it was and you just mentioned romance, wrestling, and comedy, and I was like, that sounds. And you said I forget, it was something else that just you said something else about it. It was also the setting of it basically, but it was just a really short pitch, and I was like, this is and then you sent the script to me, and I was like, this is extremely funny. I mean, it's extremely funny, but it's not only extremely funny, but it's it's the way. Sorry, this is gonna. We're going down the rabbit hole. Sorry. Now, okay.
So, no, go down the rabbit hole. That's fine. I'll pull you back if we need to.
Comedy, on my first love, how I learned. I'm fully Swedish, and I have no American, even though this somehow sounds American.
Yeah, you do sound like you grew up next door to Raven for some reason.
There we go. And Michigan, Middle America is usually what I get, but or no, it's usually they don't really know where I'm from. It's like, so you're from America? I'm like, yeah, that's a shitload of people. But all right, but anyways, so my first venture into the English language was basically trying to read Shakespeare, because I which is I know
that's
I see
brutal.
It's a brutal start to getting into. And so I started reading it, and I had a really hard time because it's like Shakespeare's rough. I mean, it's like even if you're a native, it's pretty tough.
Yeah. I could never do it, so yeah.
But what was fun about Shakespeare is he writes tragedies and comedies, and he writes history and he writes biography, but tragedies and comedies basically. And even if it's a comedy, if it's a Shakespearean comedy, that does not mean the entire thing is funny. It just means that in the end of the play, it ends on a positive note. A tragedy is the opposite.
Yeah.
So basically, Romeo and Juliet is a tragedy because, well, spoiler alert, they die at the end. And then Much Ado About Nothing is this comedy because of blah blah blah. Same reasons, but the opposite. So so what actually attracted me to the fact that this was interesting was it was not because we've kind of the way we're saying when we're talking about comedies today, we're saying, oh, it has to be funny. It's like Borat. I love Borat. Borat is one of the funniest films I've ever seen. But it's not that's almost closer to farce. So basically, comedy is a happy ending, and comedies can also be extremely dark. I mean, and that was kind of what attracted me to this project. It was like it is funny. It's a rom-com. It's Love Actually, Notting Hill, but it's closer. But it has deep and brutal aspects to it. I mean, it's like we have the Kong versus Godzilla fight. I mean, so it's like there's so the process of it. There are people who do this all the time, and there's a Swedish guy called Ruben Östlund who has a tendency of doing this, where he does a comedy, but it's like the only reason it's a comedy is because there's satire to it, and that's
yeah.
Like, yeah.
I get that because when I wrote it originally, it was based off of my weekends from hell, as I call it, in Manchester.
Yeah.
And I got 2 books out of that weekend, so I'm happy. I got Summer of Him and Waking Up His Wife, which is fantastic. And then
more books.
No, I ended up around Joe after that because I think Joe and me met. God, it must be like 2009. I want to say 2009, but I think it was after Manchester. I remember that because I met Rhino first, and I remember thinking, "Oh, he's a bit weird," and he treated me kind of like half of the time he was really nice, and then half the time he wasn't. So it was like a weird kind of, sort of image I had from him. And then I had the other wrestlers who were, like, one wouldn't talk to me because he was reborn Christian and thought I was, like, devil incarnated. And then the other guy who basically spent the entire 3 days trying to sleep with me. So it was, like, totally bizarro world for me. And funnily enough, the guy that was American that tried to sleep with me was not the one that turned up at my room at 3 o'clock in the morning.
That was the born-again Christian. No?
No.
Please, that would be better. It would be amazing if it was him. Sorry.
No, the guy that was like the reborn Christian. Honestly, you would have thought that I was going to like burn away his soul or something. He wouldn't even... When he sat with us at the table, he made sure he was like 3 seats away from me and didn't make direct eye contact. Would not make direct eye contact with me. It was hilarious. But yet, he hugged my best friend who was doing Monty Python jokes all weekend. So,
yeah, they
kind of curious about that
Christians, to be honest. The Monty Python weren't on the shit list, so to speak. So. Yeah.
So I'm surprised, he thought she was funny, so he hung out with her more.
Yeah.
And then I always seem to end up at Rhino's table. Like, I don't know why, but I always ended up at Rhino's table. So, but yeah, no, it was actually the Scottish heavyweight champion turned up. He's passed away now, but he turned up at my room at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. I was like, there's not enough coffee in the world to deal with you at 3 o'clock in the morning. No, go away. Because I remembered...
veins, basically, just do...
I'm going to... Oh my god, I'll probably be walking around with an IV kind of thing, like with coffee in it. I will so need that, but yeah. So yeah, I got the stories out, and then I stupidly told a wrestler, my wrestling friend, about what happened that weekend and like the fact that this guy kept messaging me and I didn't know how to handle it because I was with somebody, and it blew up in my face because he got super pissed that I spoke to this other wrestler dude about like, well, I want it to be friends, like I want us to be friends, but I don't want the weirdness. And so apparently, yeah, that blew up in my face. But saying that, it taught me a lesson that not to always, like, if you've got a problem, don't always go to a different wrestler to ask for like help. Just ball up and just deal with it yourself. there is still times because I call Joe Father Joe, and I say that in the podcast. There's times that I will message him and I'll have a freak out with him. I'll be like, oh my god, I feel like this, I feel like that, I feel like this, I feel like that. And he'll say to me, Crystal, you're in your own fucking head. Like, shut up. Stop overthinking things, because I overthink everything. As you're probably aware from our conversations.
Yeah, but, I mean, isn't that a creative aspect of it?
Yeah.
We actually had this discussion, me and my wife, earlier this morning, and we were talking about, because she was watching a show that's about, like, it's just about these horrible human beings, and they're all just horrible human beings. And she's like, I'm attracted to this show, even though they're just basically pieces of shit, all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were talking about why and how that is the appeal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone always said they didn't get my character Marie when I was performing, right?
Yeah.
When you boiled it down, she was a borderline psychopath with obsessive tendencies, and she had no social skills.
Yeah.
That was the three things that I used, like, constantly.
Yeah.
But everyone thought I had such a deep and dark and layered character. No, I didn't. I just fucking cheated the entire time. Like, I didn't think about it. I acted it. Like, oh, because here's the story. I got tested over 6 times. 6 different times my mother had me tested to see if I was a psychopath. 6 times. 6 times. And I didn't know about it. I didn't know what these tests that I kept getting were. And then my therapist sat me down, because I said to her, I'm like, I'm scared I'm a psychopath because I can turn my emotions off and I can compartmentalize stuff. And she goes, you're not. She said, it's because of the writing that you do. You fixate on things and then you compartmentalize it. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. But because my mom didn't understand it, she just assumed, because I would go from, like, literally fighting my brother in the living room to then singing and dancing in my bedroom. Like, that was how quick it was. But
I think there's a one more aspect to that. I think it's because it's also because in our daily work as a writer, as a director, I write as well, but as a writer, the only thing we're trying to do in every single situation is find the conflict. So every scene, if there's no conflict, there's no scene, basically, because nobody wants to watch a film where everybody's happy and everything's great at the end, because then that's super boring. And life's boring too. And life is pretty boring. If you filmed my breakfast with my wife and my kid, people wouldn't watch it, because we find it intriguing. So what are you going to do today? Well, I'm going to blah blah blah, and have fun. And we put sunscreen on. It's like, that's incredibly. It's like, no, there's no. It's mundane. Yeah. But I think that could rub off on social situations as well, because we're so. And I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot. There's things going on with our school now, where I heard about that. That's awesome. Yeah, I know, but it's just I'm fighting with politicians, and it's just like and people are like, oh, why are you so prone to conflict? And it's like, and I don't even see it as a conflict. I'm seeing it as like, we have to take care of our children. Yeah, of course. It doesn't really. I don't really care about the feelings of a principal. If they don't do their jobs, they have to toughen up and do their jobs, basically. Or get lost, that would be my take on it, Yeah. But it's like what's interesting is that most people don't like conflict, and I think we are kind of like people who built for it, yeah. Yeah, but it's also everything. We're always looking for it, and every situation we have to find. Because if there's a scene that there's no conflict, it's not a scene. If it's a book without a conflict, it's not really a. It's not really a book. No. So it's like there's no stories without conflict. It's like, yeah. And I think for me, like, I had such a weird childhood, like, because when I was at home, I didn't know what to do with myself, because in a hospital you have friends always around. Yeah. It's like a big slumber party. Our ward was open, so there was like 30 of us in this open ward. So
there was always somebody who couldn't sleep, so we always had someone to talk to. You know, we always had, like, we always sat around and shared stories and came up with stuff. I mean, that was the whole reason I even got, like, I used to get dragged into the adolescent room when I was 4 to watch ECW. Like, how freaking crazy is that? Like, somebody would say, oh, you know, like, I've got this wrestling show or whatever. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And then next thing I would have a headlock around my neck and somebody would be forcefully dragging me to the adolescent rooms, which was basically the teenage room. And we would just sit and we would just watch wrestling for hours. And then they started bringing in shoot videos. And then I would watch that. Like, I've seen a lot of Jericho's stuff, which is kind of weird. Because I never was I like him.
Yeah.
But he's not somebody I would want to meet because I don't want to break the illusion. You know?
Never meet your heroes.
Yeah, like, don't meet your heroes is a perfect example because I did meet some of my heroes. Like, Rhino, when I met him, I used his gore in a fight in a school playground. I was about 10. I was reading the Rock's book. I think it was like 10 anyway. I was reading the Rock's book. I was in primary 6. This guy had come up from Wales and he decided he was going to beat the shit out of me. Because I was standing up for this kid that lived across the road from me and he was picking on him. And he was like, oh, I'll just beat your ass, like, thinking that I know nothing. Not realizing I'm wearing a Dwayne Johnson Rock t-shirt, right? I've got his book, which is sitting on I put it on the top of the bin. And he goes to hit me, and I just spear him straight into the wall. Literally, straight into the wall. And that was like the move that saved me from that fight. Because as soon as I had him in the wall, he had no air, because I had hit him so hard. And I weighed nothing. I was 4.5 stone in weight. Like, that was what I weighed at the time. So, I had to, like, think of all the moves I'd ever seen, like Sean Waltman, who was X-Pac. I used his kicks. Like, everything I'd watched over the years in wrestling, I just suddenly started using. But I didn't pull back. I, like, made sure I made contact. And that rescued me. And then when I met Rhino, it was like, he was not what I thought he would be. And then I was like, there was a little bit of disappointment inside of me as well. Like, I was just like, oh. But, saying that, since then, we have kind of gotten better at communicating. And there is that kind of connection. Because he's been on my book covers. I mean, how many people can say they've actually got a wrestler on the book covers? Apparently I can now say that. So yeah, it was fun. That was totally Joe, though. Joe set that up. It's like, oh, well, we'll put Rhino on a bright pink book cover. And he's sitting on a motorcycle, and he's in a bright pink book cover, so yeah. So as of tomorrow, everything will be all legal on my end.
Well, I think so.
No. I've been told it will. I've been told it will be. Yes, I've been told.
A bit strange, but I think everything will be signed by tomorrow.
Yeah, which is awesome, because when this comes out, it'll all be technically legalized.
It just sounded a little strange when it said by tomorrow everything I do is more legal. It's like, well,
yeah, I suppose. technically, which is weird because when we were coming on, I was thinking to myself, do I mention who I'm writing with, or don't I?
Well, we don't know yet, do we? Because it's like, you are writing with that person, but we don't know if we have the permission to say who you're writing with.
Yeah, exactly.
So but that's the lure, isn't it? Because now we can come back and we can talk about that and say, well, it was this dude or dudette. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, you know that I'm rewriting some of him right now. Because I'm basically rewriting it in preparation to go to do my live appearance, which is on June 24th at the Meadow Park Library, for all of those of you that listen that are in the UK. So I was rewriting it. Let's just say, now that we've talked about who I would have as, like, because I need to know the characters I'm writing for, right?
Yeah.
So it was so weird the other day. I was doing the rewrites. I'm 5 pages into 80 through 3, and I was sort of like playing it in my head, like of what it would be like to act in it. Because like, if I did do Summer of Him, I would totally act in it. And it was like hilariously funny to me. I couldn't write because I kept laughing at myself. Because I don't think that I'm a hot girl, right? I'm going to put this out there. Everyone knows this about me. Except
I agree. I don't think I'm a hot girl either, so we are...
Well, yeah, you're just a hot dude, but that's it.
Oh, there we go.
See, there you go. I put you over. There you go. Yeah, so it's funny to me because one of my nicknames from 16 and on has been Pocket Rocket, right? Because apparently, and I don't know that I do this, I apparently flirt with guys and I have a strange effect on them, right? And I have no clue. Apparently I am absolutely oblivious. I do this with girls too. Absolutely oblivious. But, so my friends started nicknaming me Spitfire and Pocket Rocket behind my back. So anytime I go and do stuff, particularly when it's appearances or anything like that, I turn it up. Like apparently I turn this part of me up that I'm totally unaware of. So I'm like, I'm going to be thinking that I'm like the ugliest leading female on the entire set. The entire time. And that was like how, when I was writing, I'm like, oh, no one's going to believe this shit. This is going to be the worst fucking movie ever.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is funny, because like, what people don't realize about erotica authors is we actually study. Seriously, we actually we study. Yeah. And it's like, every year I take 2 months out of my writing time to go away and study the new erotic stuff. Like, the rules. Like, how far you can go. What can you show? What can't you show? What's, forbidden. What's not forbidden. And then you also, there's like, you watch life coaches as well. So like, how do you flirt sexily? And what do you not say to a guy in text? Or what things do you not do to a guy? All this kind of stuff.
For all guys out there, dick pics aren't cool. Well, alright, sorry.
Well, here's the thing, right? Okay, there's two types of women. There's the women that like them, and then there's the women that don't.
Are there women who like them?
Yeah.
So that's why people send them. This is a genuine. I mean, sorry. This is actually a genuine question.
All right.
I've never done it, and I don't understand why you would do it. But
yeah.
Apparently,
Okay. So
I throw my hands up and I give up. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't understand it.
Well, I'll explain it.
All right.
So there's some women that like to see what they're getting before they get themselves into it, and that's kind of where that comes from.
Yeah, but then it's all right. Well, I can see that. I can understand that.
Well, you don't want to go into a room because most of us know what we can take and what we can't take, right? So you don't want to go in a room, find out a guy's too small, and then you feel nothing, right? Because it's just, hopeless. But then on the other side, you don't want to be a woman that's extremely tight, and then you end up with a really hung guy because that shit just hurts, right? No matter how turned on you are, that shit just hurts, right? So...
But that's a little different from dick pics, though, because
it shows you what you're getting. You can figure out by looking at it. Oh, I could take that, or no. It gives you. So I was always a kind of positive for that when I was dating, not now, because I know what my husband's is. But it helped with me, but in particular, because I was always curious. But there is girls who find it a turn-off because they like the illusion. Like, they build you up in their head about what they're getting into, or what they might unwrap. And then that's where the kind of the divide is. As
a gesture of, I don't know why you would send one. That's basically what I'm saying. I mean, if
it's okay if a girl asks you to send it.
Well, that's what I mean.
Don't just randomly send one. Like, because I've had that happen to me, and I'm like, who the fuck's this?
Yeah, I mean there's no. I mean, I don't see why that would be a turn on for anyone. I don't even know why.
I think it's the getting caught, because like I know when I used to have my Bluetooth on in the train, this happened to me all the time. when I was younger, I would sit on the train and I'd turn my Bluetooth on just for fun. And I would get these random bloody pictures that would come through my phone of all these different dudes sending me stuff. And I'd be like, am I that hot that they're sending me this? No, it's just because my name was Pics on my phone. It showed up as Pics on my Bluetooth. And essentially, they were just looking for hookups. And, they thought if they sent a picture of their penis that it would, make me interested. It never worked like that unless I actually knew who you were.
No, but that's
I always sent them funny shit back, like, really, is that it? Like, I got really good at my witty, mean, impolite comments.
Every answer should be, you should look into that. There's a thing there that probably shouldn't be there.
Yeah. But, because, like, when I was writing with my co-writer, then we were reading the dialogue, and I went, oh shit, I actually said one of the lines I said to somebody in real life, and this made him laugh, actually. And then he was like, oh, that's me, Crystal. Was, oh, great, now I have to get tested for STDs. And I actually said that to a guy. Not meaning it. But it was like, the night after regret. Like, I didn't know what to say. It was awkward. We're lying there. And I knew he was a bit of a player. And I just said it. Not, like, because I just say shit off the cuff, like, all the time. I'll say something to Ian that'll absolutely make him piss himself laughing, because he'll be like, did you just say that? Like, it'll be just something completely out of nowhere, no context, nothing. And he will go, did you just say that? Like, did I hear what she just said? So that's what I did with him. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun writing I've had a lot of fun with Waking. Except for a lot of the time, I have got, like, the worst doubt about myself, though. Now, like, that we're getting there. Like, it's weird, because, like, writers get that when somebody else is, like, doing their...
To me, this has been I understand that this has been horrible for you.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
But for me...
You've just enjoyed it.
No. I'm not enjoying you sweating. I'm not enjoying that you're being that you're feeling like. But to me, it was just basically after every writing session, I would get a text message from you saying "fuck," and then I would get a text message from the other writer saying, "Oh, we're making so much progress." So, but going back to conflict, I was like, shit's going on.
Yep.
And so things are happening with the script. And then, you know what? I read the first 20 pages. It's really good. So whatever you're doing, I know it's horrible. I know it's horrible for you. But I'm kind of like, well, I mean, the script's good.
The worst part is, like, the person apologizes at the end. And he goes...
Did he?
He has twice, yeah.
For that?
But he goes, I don't know who you must have worked with before if I come off as nice.
But does he come off as nice?
Not always,
no. No, that's yeah, okay.
But to be honest, like, he's not the worst I've ever worked with, because
he's a good guy. I'm not saying he's a bad guy.
He's a great guy, but he doesn't realize, like, I had a strip club named after me, so I taught some strippers to strip, right? And so I've had dogs abuse since I was 16 about, you've got no talent, you're never going to go anywhere, you're never going to make it, and all this sort of stuff. Whether it was dancing, whether it was acting, whether it was writing. So even my own acting person, like the person that taught me to act, he was brutal with me. Absolutely brutal with me. So he would always pick me to do these weird acting things. Like, one time he puts us in, like, containers, right? So you gotta imagine yourself in a plastic container with concrete top lid, concrete bottom, and he's feeding you the air, right? Now, you can't talk because he can't hear you. And you've got to convince him to let you out. So that's our exercise. And then, if you don't convince him to let you out, you have to pretend to die. And then stay dead, right? So this is the exercise. And he always picked on me. Always picked on me. And then he would always do free acting. When you're, like, acting and reacting. And I would always get him. And he would be the drunk, and I would be the girl who would be smoking, who would be emo and off the rails. Because I would just take Marie and react to him as Marie. And he always singled me out for that. So, like, he'd come to school and, do these recruiting summer school where we would spend the last week of school just doing activities. And he always singled me out. He's like, no, you gotta come do the acting. And then I would carry somebody through the entire day. Because it was like a full day, 8 a.m. to 6 at night, we would just do it. So I got degraded with him. And then my uncle was not a guy that could show love or affection. So he would degrade me with his, like, jokes. He was funny, but it was always like, oh, are you here again? That was how he greeted me. It's like, oh, you here again? Or, oh God, Crystal's here. Like, he would think of ways, like, just to pick at my self-worth, I think. So now I've gotten to that point.
Was it your expense the whole time?
Yeah, like, and that was growing up in Shetland, because you had to have really tough skin to survive, because if you stuck your head above the pulpit, you got shit thrown at you. Like, you couldn't stand out. And I did. I stood out all the time, because I don't know how to blend in. I've never done it. I just can't. It's not in me. And yeah, so like I think when he works with me, he assumes that I'm going to be this soft, gentle, fragile little person, and then what he realizes is actually I've kind of got a little bit of tougher exterior. So yeah, he does apologize, which is nice. But it does get awful.
I mean, he's just. I mean, why does he apologize?
I think he feels like he's hurting my feelings, but I don't know why he thinks that. Because I said to him in a text once, I'm like, this must be torture for you. I'm really sorry. Like, I wrote that to him one night. Never texted me back. And then the other day he was talking to me, and he was like, I'm really sorry if I come across as, because he'll tell me that's not what I said. Rewrite it. Or he repeats it at me, you know?
I think he liked the script from the beginning. I mean, so it's not like...
I think because he's changed quite a bit of it, that I think he feels
but it's
like...
not that much changed. I think this is
the dialogue's changed a lot.
Well, the dialogue's changed, but it's the thing is that's always the interesting part when it comes to rewriting of scripts. Because I do a lot of work. I write my own scripts, but I also do a lot of, like, script work with other people, and I develop a lot of films.
Yeah.
And not script doctoring so much as that I'm producing or I'm directing that piece. So I'm giving notes, and this is the way I want it to go, and blah blah blah. And what I just see is, like, sometimes when it's, like, rewritten, it's like sometimes the writer feels like it's major changes.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not really. It's just basically. And that's the same thing you do as a director. You're just trying to
visualize.
You're just trying to get everybody to make the same movie. So it's like, I'm trying to plan so everybody from the location manager or actually just location assistants to set designer, they have to have the same inner movie in their head. Yeah. So basically, we're all watching and trying to emulate the same movie we're seeing in our heads. And the problem arises when there's a scene where people go, "Oh, I thought this was that," and you go, "No, it's this."
Yeah.
And then you've planted it wrong. So it's but those are just, like, small.
I think for me it was like I suddenly realized what he meant by, okay, you didn't explain this, or we need to put this in because you've done this a little later on, but there's no build up to it, or there's no reason for it to be there. So it's more about. It felt weird for me having, like, the gaps pointed out, I suppose.
Yeah, but there aren't gaps. I think that's only, like, it's like tweaks.
Yeah, it's tweaks, like, but it's like, I was like, oh, so people maybe didn't pick that up when I wrote it the way that I did. And it's weird, because it kind of has made me look at it in a different way. Because when I went back and I looked at the 2019 script, and then I was comparing the 20 pages, I'm like, this one that me and him's worked on makes far more sense than this one. And I was like...
I haven't read the 2019 one. I read the...
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
that was the very first one, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. But what I'm saying is just like, okay, yeah, there are big differences between the 2019 and the today one.
Differences.
There are big differences, but the
They're good.
structure and the story is the same.
Yeah.
So it's basically just adding stuff and subtracting stuff that makes it more to the point, basically.
Yeah. I have a tendency to waffle, and Joe gets on to me for this all the time. He's like, stop waffling. But in my head, I'm not waffling. In my head, I'm explaining whatever it is that my brain's coming up with. But yeah, it is. Most of the time, I'm just waffling crap. So it's been good because he's almost like teaching me to focus more. Like he'll he's getting me to focus in on things more. Whereas
you have to do both, really, because if you write a script and you're focusing too much, the script's going to be too short. So it's like
exactly.
It's so
he keeps me going as well too.
Yeah,
because like there is times where, particularly when I'm rewriting, I will get to like 10% into the script and I'll go, I'm not doing it. I'll go and find 50 other excuses not to write.
Well, that's just
writers. Yeah, that's just writers, right? So he's really good at just. Because you know me, I like having random conversations when we're working. He doesn't let me away with that.
No.
So he will like...
Well,
he makes me focus, which is super good because I get so easily distracted.
But it's funny you said that because you find so many reasons why you shouldn't write when you're writing. Did I tell you the story about, I'm not going to say the client because they would crucify me, but I got it.
That's funny because you made me laugh there, not because of who, Yeah.
Yeah. But so basically, I got a job. They said, okay, so we need five longer commercials. So every commercial was like 10 to 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
And they gave me 4 weeks to write it. And they paid me handsomely. Let's leave it at that. And so I took it and I started doing it and I was sitting down the first day and I was like, no, I'm going to go for a walk. No, I'm going to go to the gym.
Yep.
I need a cup of coffee. And I had all these reasons. Then my daughter came in from school. No, I have to go to the park and I have to play. Yep. And now she's got soccer practice. We have to do that. And then the weeks passed and I didn't write a word for the first 3 weeks and a day, basically. Yeah. Sorry, 3 weeks and 4 days, basically.
Yeah.
So Friday, I'm kind of freaking out. So I have to send something by Monday morning. So Monday morning, they're supposed to get 5 scripts.
Yeah.
And, okay, so 10, 15 pages. It's not
that much. It's not that much.
But it's still, like, it has to be something.
Yeah.
So I sat down and I played Moneyball, the soundtrack from Moneyball, the Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill film. And I just wrote 5 scripts. And then I sent it to them, and they were like, "Perfect, brilliant! This is just what we wanted."
Yeah.
So what I've done over the past 3 weeks was just basically walking around, fixing things in my head, and then I just put pen to paper on Friday. And actually, the film I'm doing this summer is actually the same thing. I had an idea. I wrote it really quickly, and so I wrote the script really quickly, and then I did rewrites, but I didn't really do rewrites. The only thing I did, because I'm dyslexic, so my spelling is like, there we go.
Yep.
So when you read something I write, you go, I don't know if this is actual words. I mean, that's like, so then I have to...
Yeah, I've had that said to me recently, by the way.
Well, there you go. But and then basically what I did was I had someone help me spell the words right in the script, and then we send it to actors, and the actors went, "This is really good. How long did you work on this?" And I go, "Well,
5 minutes,
30 minutes? No, it's not 30 minutes, but I'm just saying."
No, but it's funny you say that because everyone says to me, like recently I was sitting with my aunt in a coffee shop on one of my very few afternoons free, because as you know, I've been very hands-on with this, and so I'm sitting there and I'm explaining this publishing deal I have where I have to release a book every month, and I think there's going to be like months where I do a couple of multiple releases. And they were saying to me, "Oh my god, like how can you survive that?" Like they think this is going to be my entire life, not realizing that I also do this podcast, I write scripts, and I also technically in university. And I just said to her, I'm like, when I can write, I will do nothing but write. And then my house looks like a bomb's hit it because my husband's not great at housekeeping. And then when I have to like really, then I get periods where I just procrastinate to hell, which is usually when I get all my workouts done. and then I go and I do something else. Like, then I go back and I write.
Yeah.
I have like over 100 manuscripts that I'm sitting on. Easily.
Well, here's the thing too with that. That's actually something that's good you brought that up, because that's actually something that I never throw anything you write away.
No, neither do I.
No, because you don't know when you're going to be able to use it. Because I wrote a script, and my first film, and then I wrote a script that I wanted to do as my second film.
Yeah.
And the reason I didn't do it was because it was very, very personal to me. It was a very personal piece.
Yeah.
It's a very commercial film, but it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And then things happened in my life, and I cannot do this film, so I have to put it away. And then I did Emily, and then I did other stuff, Scapegoat and stuff like that, because well, you have to pay your bills as well. So But I'm actually taking this script back, and I actually pitched it to people, and they go, "Why didn't you do this earlier?"
Yeah.
And I was like, because I couldn't. But there's
emotional connections. Yeah.
Was that?
There's always emotional connections to everything you write.
Yeah. And it's basically. I spoke to a guy who he's writing these big Netflix and Amazon projects, and it's like everything he writes, even though it's not being published or if it's not being filmed or produced or whatnot. You can just take snippets of that. So it's like, okay, I need this kind of scene. Well, I have a great scene here that was never used. I'll put that there.
Yeah.
And
I did that. I did that with Fighting for Love was one of my first wrestling eroticas I ever did, and I did this really cute scene where this girl takes a lollipop and she essentially ties the wrestler up in the ropes, and she teases him with this lollipop, and it's an incredibly hot scene. But it's not something I could ever use in a book again. But it's like I think I probably will use it in a film though. But it's just such a visual kind of sensual thing. So yeah, and I mean, when I did a horror. I've only ever written one horror piece. And
horror?
Yeah, I did a horror. Seriously.
Oh, it's the language barrier. It's the Scottish dialect. I heard hoarder.
Because like I don't pronounce my H's, and then sometimes I overpronounce my R's. It depends on how I'm talking. But so my whole concept for that was this teenage boy blows up his high school, and that's how it starts, right? He packs up his stuff, he kidnaps his sister, he blows up a high school, and then he goes on the run, and he essentially starts a cyber war with the UK because of how he's treated, right?
Yeah.
And so I pitched it around, and I pitched it to a couple of publishers, and they told me, no one will ever make that, never publish that.
Why?
Because I think it's because I blow up a school. Essentially.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right? So they were like, yeah, never do it. It'll kill your career, blah, blah, blah. So that book, Blood, is still sitting on my cloud somewhere.
Yeah.
Because it is a really, really... It's a hard-hitting story. It's about a kid who watches his mom and his dad get gunned down in front of him. He protects his sister, and then he has the guilt of that. And then he gets adopted, and then the adoption is essentially they only adopted them for, appearances. And he grows up in a very xenophobic, community. Yeah. And that's what leads him to blowing up the school, because he thinks if he blows up the school, he stops the xenophobia. He kills the issue, kills the problem. He'll protect his sister.
That sounds pretty interesting. I mean, it's brutal, but
that was the point. People said I was too brutal in the script and in the book, that no one should ever read it, no one should ever publish it. So, but for me, I was going through a period of super hate from my hometown. Like I loathed my hometown. I was going through a lot of bad stuff, and it was my way of getting myself through it. So by doing this and writing this, it was my version of, well, screw you. Like I grew up with your xenophobia. I grew up with, don't talk, because there was this attitude in my school. You couldn't, if you were a Shetland girl, you couldn't date a guy outside the school that wasn't a Shetlander, right? Because you'd get bullied. You'd actually get bullied for that. It was a thing. And I always wanted to date an American, and I never got the opportunity because I literally got thrown down a flight of stairs for winking at one. Right? So I realized I couldn't do it while I was there, and it kind of fostered this hate that I had for this xenophobia I was literally watching unfold me. So I wrote it, and it's not, violence is not the answer to something like that, but it makes people talk about it. You know, like that was the whole point of this, was to, and I mean, I had a meeting with it was the Donald Literacy Agency in New York, and they really liked the idea, the concept, but they just said that's just way too brutal.
Yeah.
You know, and I've never found anyone that isn't scared of it.
There's a book about a school shooting. There's a Swedish book about a school shooting.
Yeah.
It's called Quicksand or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just because we haven't had any school shootings, and so we've had knife things happen in schools, but
we've had one in Scotland. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was there's a Netflix show about it as well. I had issues with it because it's such a loaded subject.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And because it hasn't really it's happened in. I love the show. I actually even worked on the show, to be honest. I forgot about that, but I did. But it's and I had all these issues. Not that I have had issues. It was more moral things I was thinking about. So should we do this?
Yeah, I was the same.
Is this something we should do? And I think that would be the same argument that you should have for this piece. It's like, is this, because if it somehow justifies the action, then that could be.
I think because I do it from inside, because there's 2 points of view in my writing on this one. Is I have the girl that's life is completely destroyed. She's at college. Yeah. She leaves out. He waits for her to leave, right? He waits for her to leave. He kidnaps his sister. He blows up the school. But what he doesn't realize is her parents are in the school. So he technically kills her parents and all her friends. So, like, she's one of the only ones of his class to survive. So she gets scooped up by the government because they're like, well, if he took out the whole year and she's still alive, why is she still alive, kind of thing. And she ends up being used by the government to take him down. So the guy dies at the end. But it's kind of the whole process of her realizing that this kid that she's always seen as this traumatized, bullied child becoming the terrorist that she's now got to stop. And she's got to put her entire life on the line to go and stop him, because she's the only way they can get close to him. And it's not, and in his mind, she's the love of his life. She was kind to him, she was there for him. He feels like he's doing this for her and his family. So in his mind, he thinks he's the hero, and in her mind, he's the villain. So it's kind of parallel. You're kind of getting to see both sides of the fence.
But I think that's always the case, right? Because if you do horrible acts, then the person who actually commits the horrible acts, for some fucked up reason, they think that they are the heroes of that story. But I mean that's where the art comes in.
And it's funny now because blood is going to come out. Like the publisher I'm with, she's releasing it. Yeah, she's going to release it, and it is not going to be under my usual pen name. It's going to be under my crime pen name. But I'm going to get so much for doing it. But I'm doing it.
Maybe not.
I know. Like, every one of my readers is going to turn on me. I know it's going to happen. So I'm kind of like, it's the only book, because it's so psychological based, I'm going to send it to a friend of mine in the States that we both know. Because he would get it. Yeah. Because psychologically, a lot of the way that my characters work has come from him. And, like, I think I said this to him the other night. I'm like, I would never have a career if it wasn't for him. Because I would never be the writer that I am if I hadn't had to study him. I actually have a stack of his DVDs sitting in my hallway that Derek gave me, or I bought over the years because I was always curious as to how he was doing. He is literally the only, probably the only wrestler I ever followed after he went off TV. Literally.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Blood's coming out, which is going to be interesting.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here and follow it, see what happens.
Yeah, I might send you the pitch deck at some point.
Do it. I mean, it's just it comes down to
it's not expensive to make though. To be honest with you, because it's not like there's huge explosions all the time or car chases or anything like that. It's like one major explosion, electrified collars, and some cyber stuff. I mean, it's not like it's a huge budget. Because I think I'd worked it out from a friend of mine, and he was like, "Oh, Dave Wilson. Oh, I love this guy. Dave Wilson's a good friend of mine, and he works post at Warner Brothers."
Okay.
So I sent it over to him. He was the first person to tell me waking up his wife had legs, and that I was not to dump it, essentially.
That you were not what?
Not to dump it, because I was actually going to give up entirely on it because I never won anything with it, and it never went anywhere, and I got turned away by so many people. But
that sounds like it's going to work commercially. If you don't win anything, and
no, they literally said to me that wrestling wasn't a commercially viable subject.
There was a few people who would say the opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the difference. Who cares?
And I went to a couple of places, one of which had made, it had John Moxley in it. It was a fighting film. This is when my brain farts and I can't remember.
I have absolutely no idea.
No, but there's this really good one, and I think it's called Cage Fighter or Fighter something. And essentially, John Moxley goes from wrestling to an MMA cage, right? But AEW's involved in it.
Okay.
And so I went to them with the script, obviously. So I went to this film company, and they literally told me, wrestling doesn't make money, so we're not doing any wrestling films. Even though I had pitched it just as a rom-com, they took one look at it and said, no, it's a wrestling film. No, thank you. I did the exact same thing with, I went to the Fighting With My Family production company, and they said the same thing. They're like, and I'm like, wait, hold on a second. Fighting With the Family made lots of money, and you're telling me that it's not viable?
I don't know how much money that made.
It did actually make money. I checked it.
Yeah, but it doesn't. That's where the film industry is so hard to follow because it doesn't really matter how much it makes in the box office.
Well, it made profit because they have recorded saying it made profit because I remember that conversation with somebody else. It did make profit.
Most likely it did because it had a pretty good cast. But I mean,
yeah.
I'm just saying that.
And they had the WWE behind it as well. So
yeah, but whatever a film makes at the box office does not necessarily mean. A friend of mine did a film. They made it for $60,000.
Yeah.
60. I think it was 60,000.
Yeah.
Or 100,000. Let's say 100. And they went to a distributor, and the distributor didn't want it. And then he said, then the filmmaker said, "All right, if I get this and this many likes on social media, you have to buy it."
Yeah.
And they went, "All right," because it was like this insane number that was like they were not supposed to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Started releasing like snippets of the film and just like things from the film. And it just skyrocketed, so it just blew away. And they went back to the distributor and said, "All right, so we got the social media following. You have to buy it now."
Yeah.
And he took another look at it. The distributor took another look at it and said, "All right, I'll pay you $1 million for it."
Yeah.
So you'll get $1 million. So you'll make 10 times what you paid for it. And what happened was, so they made $1 million. Super happy. This is I mean, great deal.
Yeah,
Brilliant
sure,
deal. I mean, they made a shitload of money. Everybody who was involved made tons of money, and everybody was happy.
Yeah.
Problem was the film was released, and that film made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So the distributor made, but the deal they had was it was a buyout. So here you get $1 million.
Okay. So they got fucked. Yeah.
So they got, and this happens. I mean,
it happens all the time. Yeah.
It happens all the time. So
I've heard stories of that. Yeah.
Well,
I've heard stories of that. It's funny because one of the things with being in the Writers Association. Romance Writers Association. I know that like when Waking's at that point of release, I can take it to all the conventions, and that will make it super popular because they don't have a lot of films that gets their trailers premiered at these conventions, right? So it's going to be interesting because I think, like, no, if I know when it's coming, like when the trailer will be out, I can then set that up. And the thing about romance is if you get the romance people involved, especially the associations, the hunger that comes from that is insane. Like, my friend Heidi, she was on the show. She wrote the book Forever My Girl, and I think it was like within a week she sold the film rights. And that was through a lovely woman called Maggie Marr, who I know quite well. And it was Maggie Marr that said waking up his wife could be massive. Could be massive. She's actually also one of the only believers in kayfabe as well.
One of the things to consider is cast matters.
Oh gosh,
and,
yeah. But here's the
on this one,
on this one we've had a lot of debates. Let's be honest, we've debated this a lot.
No, we haven't really. I mean, it's not really that much of a debate. It's like the
no. Me and my writers debated a lot.
Yeah, but that's a different. That's the stars. I mean, the other parts absolutely, but the stars attached. I mean, of course, we can't say anything because of
legal reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, legal reasons. But cast matters.
Oh yeah,
especially
in romance, right? This is what I've learned in my. Okay, I'm not going to say how long I've been doing this, but because it makes me feel old. Because I was 19 when I got into publishing. But what I've learned is you need to have smoking hot guys. The girls don't have to be as smoking as long as the guys are, because it's mostly, you've got a bigger women audience, right?
Yeah.
Have things that draw their eyes to their crotch. Have abs. Have lots of special scenes that makes women go, ooh, you know. And there you go. That is like the entire secret chemistry to something that's extremely sellable and commercialized, right? Yeah. Fortunately, I don't write that way, but hey-ho. So, what I find is funny is I literally got my publishing contract from Taihan Press based off of what I wrote in Summer of Him. And Summer of Him was just a very wet dream that I had about one wrestler. That's it. That was the whole premise. That was the whole thing that triggered it. I'm not going to say who it is because it'll get awkward, and I don't want him.
You can say it. You can say it. It's me. It's me. I mean, we shouldn't.
Of course,
let's not beat around the bush.
Of course, it's you. Oh, you know.
I don't have the abs. I don't have the presence, but I mean, otherwise, I have everything you just said.
You've got the charisma. You have charisma going. You know.
I don't have the abs though, and I don't have the thing.
Oh, well, we'll get you the abs. It's fine. I'll stick you in a room with Joe for 2 weeks, and then you'll have abs. You're fine.
I would die probably.
Yeah,
right.
It's funny because like everyone assumes he works out super, super, super hard, but he doesn't, and he still looks good.
But my wife is the same way. She's like, she looks at a treadmill and she gets fit. I have to work so hard to.
I can't say anything because like.
Yeah, but we're like the polar opposites. She looks at a treadmill and she gets the washboard stomach, and I look at a donut and I get like
3 rolls of fat. Yeah,
yeah. I'm like, how does this? I would rather have it the other way, but it's I know.
Well, here's the thing that always makes people, wary around me is I don't eat a lot, right? I never ate a lot. I've never been a big eater. However, I work out for 5 minutes, my abs comes back. Right? My muscles in my legs comes back. I look well defined. I look toned. The only thing that I've never gotten to look like they're not sticks has been my arms. Never happens. No. But saying that, I can eat. Well, I'm supposed to eat 5,000 calories a day. When I'm being lazy, I might eat like 3,000, technically. Yeah. Which means I'm losing weight. And then I get paranoid about my weight, so then I'll go to the 6,000 calories for like 3 weeks. Especially if I know I'm going to get weighed by my doctor, because he threatens me with like all sorts if my weight drops to like a certain level. I think it's like 32 kilos and then I get hospitalized. That's the deal.
32? I think I'm like 90.
I weigh in right now at 42.
There you
go. That's how much I weigh. But because I have, like... They can't prove this because every blood test that comes back says I have a normal thyroid level, right? But I don't, because who can drop weight? Like, I can literally drop 10 kilos in a week. You know, and that's because I'll have maybe one meal a day. Because I don't feel hunger. I've never felt it.
I think you can. I think you can. I think that's normal. I mean,
I've never really met anybody like that, though. And I've been in, like, the anorexia, because they thought I had anorexia. I don't. Yeah. So they dragged me in, and they made me go to the anorexia ward, which was hilarious, because I actually ate better than the ones that was on the ward. But I don't throw up, right? I don't go to loo, I don't throw up, because I don't see the point in that. I don't drink shit tons of water, which is another way you can lose weight, by the way, is if you constantly fill your stomach with water.
Because then you don't eat, or why?
Well, basically, if you fill your stomach with water, your stomach thinks it's full.
Ah, okay, so that's okay.
So that's one way I've seen girls do it.
Yeah.
And I just never did. I never got the point of it. Right? It's the same with drugs. Like, all my friends did drugs. I have to take 8 tablets. I'm now at 8 tablets a day, which is pretty fucking good for me. I went from like 20 to 8 in a year. I don't see the appeal to have to take stuff you don't. You know, like, I already know I have to get up and say, I've got to take this, and this. Yeah. I never got the joy of going and taking other stuff, either. So I never got into drugs. Derek put me off needles, because I have a needle phobia. I am absolutely petrified of needles. So the fact that I had to stick him with steroids and God knows what else in his ass, that put me off. Even though I have got tattoos, which is hilarious. It's that bad. It's normally when I go in for a blood test, Ian will cover my eyes. Because I have passed out just seeing the needle.
I can't see it. I
can't see it either.
It doesn't hurt. It's not that. I just can't see. No.
It's the seeing it. It's the seeing it. Yeah, like, yeah. I get all like, and then I go, boom. And, you know, because my blood pressure drops too low. That's the other thing I can do. It's a party trick I do. They hook me up to the blood pressure cuff. And if I'm completely relaxed, I am barely out of cardiac arrhythmia. Like, my whole heart drops really low. My blood pressure becomes, like, non-existent. And they freak out. Like, I send machines crazy, right? So what they do now is if they're going to do my blood pressure, they make Ian sit next to me. And Ian annoys me whenever he has to come to hospitals or doctors. So my blood pressure comes up to normal levels when he's in the room with me. And that's the only reason I ever get in and out of hospital, because he will sit next to me. When I was in ICU, I set off the monitors every like 3 hours. So they literally had to sit and nurse next to my bed, because I couldn't relax too much because I would send the machine off. So she would talk to me every so often, just like, and then if I did, because I do meditation, and every time I meditate, my heart rate goes dangerously low. So they were trying to get me not to meditate the entire time.
When you sleep, is this the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny, because before I got trached, that's what that is, 3 years ago. 2 years ago, but it'll be 3 in August. Because basically they put me to sleep before they put the airway in. So my jaw didn't have any joints, so my bones slid back and cut my airway off, right? So they freaked, and they cranked me, as they call it. And they discovered that my cartilage was non-existent in my neck, which could have been all the years of me dancing, and because every time I dance, I would get injured, and the arthritis would get into the injuries, and that's what they thought was what had happened. So that's why I had sleep apnea, was because there was nothing between my air pipe and the muscle. So the muscle was essentially flattening my airway, and that's why I was stopping breathing when I was sleeping at night.
Yeah.
But that surgery, actually, they fixed it. So they ended up doing 2 surgeries that they never thought they would have to do. for one, basically. But yeah. So I came back from sepsis through that.
Yeah.
That was like my turning around and being like, okay, can't piss my life away anymore. I really have to actually try.
Yeah.
So yeah, I lost my wedding that time around.
You lost your what?
I was supposed to get married. I went in to get my jaws put in the week before my marriage date.
Ooh.
And they phoned Ian. Ian was getting a suit, so he's driving back from Helensburgh, and they phoned him and they said, "Now don't panic, Ian, but Crystal stopped breathing on the operating table. Do we have your permission?"
That's never a good way to start a conversation.
That was the opening. Seriously,
yeah.
He's doing 80. He ends up doing like 80 to the hospital, right? But the opening line was, don't panic, Ian. And then they said, "Are you driving?" He said, "Yes." They said, "Pull over." He did not pull over. He kept driving. And then they told him, "Do we have your permission to put a breathing tube in Crystal's neck?" They've already done it, right? But they phoned him to ask him permission after they did it, which I thought was hilarious. He goes, yeah. Do whatever it takes. I'm on my way. And so I come round in ICU. I have no glasses on, so I can't read the words that's on the wall, because you know what dyslexia is like if your eyes are all screwed up, right? All I see is I and C and U, right? And I know, fuck, something's gone wrong. And they literally have me pinned on the bed. Like, this woman's holding me still. And that's when I discovered that they'd screwed up. And this was the head anesthesiologist. And I basically wrote, "You must be shit at your job if this happened." That was my opening line to her. Like, when they finally allowed me to talk, that was my opening line. "You must be shit at your job."
Yeah.
But, I survived. I had a wicked-ass dream about my co-writer, though. I was more pissed that I woke up from that than I was about what they'd done to me. But, It was one of those really, like... I always had the best dreams when they knocked me out, which always turn into books. So every time I've been knocked out, I've written a hell of a book afterwards. I don't know why that is.
It can help. I mean,
it must be something in the drugs or something, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that, there's a lot of people who write drinking red wine, and they do stuff, because it's about getting out of your own way, kind of. It's like
no, that's
if you
true.
have a tendency to be. I fixed a script in a fever dream. I got a really high fever. I got COVID.
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
I was really sick, and I didn't write anything because I was just way too sick to write anything. But I kind of, for some reason, I processed this thing in my head.
Yeah.
And then I sent the feedback to the writers, and they were like, "How did you come up with this shit?" Fever dream.
Fever dream. Yeah.
So it's like, so there's something to it. I like walks. It's not as sexy as drugs or alcohol, but I like because it's a way of. But it's a way of getting away from your own. I
feel like I understand my co-writer now more than I did before, because for like half a year I was on fentanyl.
Yeah.
Right, which is it's not your baby drug stuff, right? It's fucking amazing stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they had me on fentanyl patches. See, the shit I came up with when I was like on that stuff was amazing, but I couldn't sleep on it. And I have a weird drug tolerance because I use so many painkillers over the years. I can't take paracetamol because I'm allergic to it. I can't take ibuprofen because I'm allergic to it. So any drug that I get given has to be the high-end stuff, which is fantastic because it means I have the best dreams. And I write like a mad woman. But
I mean, yeah.
That's because all my inhibitions disappear, which is not a good thing because then I have impulsive buying and I send impulsive text messages that I really shouldn't send.
Shit happens. I mean, but the writing's good.
Oh yeah, like.
So.
I mean,
but I mean,
I
but I mean,
wrote Waking in 3 days originally.
I,
And then I
I
edited it in like 14 hours. And that was just based off of me taking stuff, like,
yeah.
for my pain. And I mean, getting your TMI joints replaced, that shit hurts. That shit really does hurt.
But I mean, when Van Gogh was cutting his own ear off, I don't think he was.
No. But, I mean, I was addicted to pain anyway when I was younger. Because when you're physically in pain with arthritis, you look for a reason to be in pain.
Yeah.
So when you dance, or at least when we were dancing, we were looking to hurt each other so that we had a reason to for being in pain. Which is insane to me, now that I think back on it. Like, I literally got my nose broken and I walked off the dance floor afterwards laughing. Because the nose pain didn't even come close to what the rest of the pain in my body felt like. And that's scary.
Too, when you're on stage and when you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
You pay for it afterwards, you don't pay for it during.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I literally...
So
I watched back... I never watched my stuff back, but I watched back Introducing Pix, which was the character I came up with after Marie. But I still have the Marie look. And it was after I injured my neck. And you can tell in that dance video that I'm holding my neck and my shoulders funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pulling off the moves and stuff. Like, I'm doing all solo stuff, which I never do. And then I'm like, I might show you it, but it stays between us.
I can't prompt. I'm kidding.
No, I know it will. No, but it was just, I look so wooden, and I cannot watch it because I criticize it to, like, the nth degree. But my husband, when he first saw it, he was like, wow. Like, it just, like, got his motor running. And I'm like, I don't see that. I don't see what everybody else sees.
There's a difference between, and this is also it's writing, it's directing, it's dancing, it's singing, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's like technique is great, but passion is greater. I mean, it's just like
I had passion in that dance. Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather see something that's not technically perfect, but there's a shitload of passion behind it, than technically perfection, because technical perfection is boring. It's like that's not.
And I think because I was so anal, like, when I was dancing, I did want it perfection. And it got in my way.
Perfection is what's...
You can't get perfection in a pageant.
You can't get perfection in anything. You can't, and as long as there's more people than you involved, there's no way to get perfection. But that's the beauty of it. And
So I was taking a bet with Ian the other night. I'm like, how long do you think it would be on set before I chase Raven around the set? Or, like, because he's acting in it, obviously, but because, like, I so know he's going to say something, and it'll be like a short joke or something, and then my little fiery Scottishness is going to come out, and you're just going to see this comedy act of me chasing him up and down the set, you know?
Here's the thing. I think a behind-the-scenes version of this film would be fairly interesting.
Yeah. Are we not going to do some sort of, like, sit-down interview or something?
Yeah, of course. But I mean, also just filming all the shit that's going to go
on behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's. I mean, there's so many different. There's wrestling, there's comedy, there's drama, there's violence. I mean, there's so many things going on in this film.
Yeah.
And there are.
And I'm totally going to get lost.
Big egos, so to speak, if you want to be, without naming names. There's a couple of. I don't even know how to talk about this without ruining anything or
no, I mean we can dance around names.
It's going to be nuts, basically. There's a lot of things that's going to be both. There's incredibly big set pieces.
Gosh, yeah. But here's something that a lot of my friends have said to me lately. They're like, Crystal, how is your ego gonna fit in with everybody else? And I'm like, but my ego is not even close to some of the ones we've got back there. Like,
no.
So my ego is not even like an issue on it. But I think because they know me personally, they think my ego's like the size of the fucking Empire State Building. And I'm like, no, I don't back down when I think I'm right. That's my only issue. Like,
but I've never seen anyone. I mean, anyone. I've never seen anyone in the creative industry that if a person fights for their opinion,
Yeah.
because most of the time when people get annoyed is when people don't have opinions. When people go, I don't know, then that's what's annoying. But if
I
someone
always have
says
an opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right.
no, but I mean that's life in general. You can have an opinion. It doesn't mean you're right. You could have an opinion, and that could come from the wrong information. Then that happens. But I mean, I think that's the I mean that's what everybody wants. We want everybody to have a point of view. We want everybody to have passion for what they're doing.
And I think
then there's going to be conflicts, but that's just the way it is.
Everybody I work with always says I take feedback really well, which is actually a lie.
Well, okay. So maybe you don't, but from
from what you guys see, I do. Yeah,
exactly. So you play pretend really well. So you kind of because you do take feedback really well, but I don't see what happens when we turn the camera off or when I'm leaving. It's like that. But I mean that's and that's.
It's funny because I can almost be like sometimes I can just shrug it off and be like fuck it, you know. If I can see the point behind it, then I don't have that moment of okay. Yeah. But it's like if I don't see where it's coming from or I don't see the validity of it, I just go, oh, they're talking out their ass. Like I can just almost flip it off.
Well, that's always an issue when it comes to, especially when it comes to scripts, because it's sometimes you get feedback from people on scripts, and it's like, well, you didn't read the script.
No,
I mean, because and here's the thing too, books are a little bit easier.
No, it's not.
No, I'm not trying to. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If you read a book and it actually works, then you can understand it. But whoops, sorry.
You're all right. This happens on the show all the time. It's fine.
It's my color grader trying to call me regarding a film that is not out yet, but it's almost done. He's exporting it and he doesn't need me, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but because see, the thing that I argue, right, is you get readers of books who don't actually read the book, but will go on and say could not finish it, or
but those people don't matter,
or whatever.
Those people don't matter. Those people are just. I mean, those people don't matter. But it's just like I'm saying professional people. Yeah. There's even professional people who are the ones like
editors are phenomenal for this. Yeah.
Don't read it closely enough and don't follow the logic closely enough. And they go, well, this doesn't work. I had someone text me once saying, all right, we need to change this scene because there's too much stunt work in the scene. Mm-hmm. But it clearly says that in the scene that we don't see what's going on, we hear what's going on.
Yeah.
So the camera is with a person observing it and that's the point of the scene. So
we've had that conversation about the wrestling scenes, so yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I mean, so this is so it's like. And it's just weird when someone so they read it quickly and then they misunderstood what text is actually saying, and it's and it doesn't matter. That doesn't affect me as a person, but it's just like there's a tendency to try to sift through the feedback you get, and you go, okay, so this is because he's an idiot.
Yeah.
And this is because.
And I have to look on it that way. I think that's why people think I take it so well. I mean, don't get me wrong, when I come off with writing with so-and-so, I kind of vibrate, I suppose, was the way that Ian put it. I am so restless.
Yeah.
And then I'm either restless or I pass the hell out. And usually if I pass the hell out, it's been a good session because I'm not full of adrenaline and I'm not, overworking myself. But then, if I don't, and I feel like it's a bad session, where I feel like we haven't really done anything, then I have the whole kind of jitteriness, and I end up kind of vibrating. Yeah. Especially when they turn around and say, vaguely, I think we'll work such and such a day, and then I never hear from that person to actually lock down a time, or lock the day in, which is really annoying. And then I kind of spent the whole day anticipating that they're coming on, and then obviously they don't come on, and then I don't know what to do with myself. So Ian's kind of gotten used to saying, okay, are we going out in the car today? Especially because it's a heat wave, and I don't know what to do with myself. Because if I'm warm, I more want to move around. I want to do stuff. But it's really bad for my husband because he can't be out in sunlight.
Ooh, why?
He has light sensitivity.
Oh, no.
His eyes are so blue that when the light hits them, it actually bleaches them white, so you can't see his iris at all.
Oh.
So he gets migraines and things like that.
Yeah.
So he can't go out in sunlight all the time. But me, I can't get enough of it. Like, I will write more, I dance more, I move more, I actually go for walks, which is, anyone who knows me knows that I don't do that usually. And because I get so restless because there's sunlight. And then when winter comes, I become this complete hermit, and he has to, like, pretty much put TNT under my ass to get me out the door. Because I don't like getting wet, I don't like the rain, I don't like the cold. So we're totally opposites. And I am praying that I do not spend the winter in Scotland this year. That's my goal for this year. Not to be in somewhere cold for the winter. To be warm.
Yeah, there we go. Let's do it.
Yeah. You're gonna have to get me out somewhere nice and warm so I can not have to spend friggin' winter because I don't have that's the thing, I don't store vitamin D. So every time
you don't store vitamin. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, my illness actually burns it. They actually discovered that genetically I don't hold on to vitamin D. So I have to be in sunlight. Otherwise I don't absorb it through tablets very well. And if it gets too low, I have to go in and get an IV. And the IV sucks. It actually sucks. Because it makes you feel like dog crap for 4 days. Every time I get it, I'm like, why am I so sick when it's just minerals and vitamins? And it's because my body's not used to it. My body's like, what the what's this? So hopefully when one of our stars is on the show, he can hook me up with some vitamin drips to keep me going while we're on set. I don't know
which one that is, but all right.
I'll introduce you.
All right. Cool.
He is part of it. So yeah, but he does it and he swears by them. So there might be a morning that we just don't go to set early. We just go and get vitamin drips and stuff.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think because if you think about it, how much coffee you and I drink, our vitamin levels must be. It must be.
Coffee's good for you, though. Coffee's good. That's what I.
My cardiologist would disagree with you on that.
No, well, let's not go into facts. Let's just stay in my fact bubble. Let's not. I mean, this is alternative facts.
Okay, so we're kind of all right. Okay, we're going that way.
No, I'm just saying. My point of view is that coffee's good for you.
Yeah, but not when you're drinking 6 to 8 cups like I am.
I mean, 12 is alright, right? No?
No, apparently not, no. So, yeah, but no, this person, he's total super healthy guy, and he goes and he gets these vitamin drips and all this sort of stuff, and he looks phenomenal just because he takes care of his body. So I'm like, I might have to get a boost while I'm there. I'll just get a vitamin top up, electric lights top up or whatever, and because they're fantastic when you're on rock bottom because you've overworked yourself.
I'm gonna have one selfie in the gym in the morning.
Really? You're gonna do that? Seriously?
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put that on on Instagram and just be like,
oh my gosh,
this is what my life looks like right now, because I'm gonna look like the smallest human being.
I'll stand next to you, right? I'll stand next to you.
Well, it could be both of us, but we're still gonna look like it's gonna be like, who are those two? Are they people?
Yeah, but no, okay, right. I think what we should do, and this is just for a laugh, co-writer, you, me, and Joe in a picture, right?
Yeah, but still, we're going to be really small compared to
If you put me in the middle, right, it's going to make you look taller, point one. Because I'm 5'1.5", right?
How tall is Joe?
6'2".
All right, yeah.
And then the other one is 6'1". But to be fair, he's put on the beef, so.
But they're also massively wide.
Yeah,
So,
and then
yeah.
we'll put you in the middle, and then me slightly in front of, like, him. He can probably rest his arm on my shoulder, because this is what most of them do. Like, I'll be walking along, doing my thing, and one of them will come up behind me, and he just drops his arm around my shoulders. And it's weird, because he's like, oh, you're the perfect height. Even Ian does this. He'll literally walk along the street with me with his arm on my shoulders going, oh, you're a nice armrest. Like, what the So yeah, but I mean, that's just me though. I don't wear heels. I always wear sneakers. And if I do wear heels, it's because I'm having to do some author thing that I detest. But yeah, like, I mean, I'm not a heel girl, but I still have the sway and the swagger and, you know, and all the rest of it. But yeah, we should do that photo. That should be our first day photo. I will have all my hair chopped, so I won't have all this crap going on, but yeah.
We'll do that, and then we'll do the cast. And with the cast, I'm gonna look at. They're gonna people are gonna go. Is that a guy up there, or is that a human being? And,
well, what the hell do you think they're gonna say when they look at me?
Well, it's gonna be funny. It's gonna be
because like I mean I say to Joe I'm 43 kilos, and he goes, I lift like 3 times that. Right. But
so we don't really need a gym. They could just bench you and I, and
yeah,
that would be would be all we have to do. It's like we don't.
It's not like because I make this joke like Derek. One of the spots we used to do was he would grab my legs, usually about halfway up my thigh, and underneath my oxers, and he would bench press me.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was only like 36 kilos, give or take. So to him, it was nothing, because when he was in the gym, he would do like 80, 90, easily. And so, yeah, I mean, honestly, the amount of times I'm going to get picked up and stuck on somebody's shoulder, or somebody's just going to pick me up just to, like, see how heavy I actually am, is going to be... That's the thing that will annoy me. I'll be walking along, and then my legs won't be touching the floor anymore, because somebody will have scooped to me. And then you'll just hear me going, put me the fuck down! You know?
My biggest thing is going to be to see my 7-year-old, she's turning 7 soon.
Rolling around in a ring.
What?
Rolling around in the ring.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Because Joe's gonna do that, because Joe's gonna get bored. And he's gonna be like, oh, there's a wrestling ring. Fuck it, I'll go in there. And then she's gonna explore, and she'll find him.
Running around sets since she was little, and she was not in my last film, so she's always like an extra or something.
Yeah.
And she was really pissed. She was like, "Daddy, why am I not in your film?" I'm like, "Because you're not an actress, and I'm against child abuse."
Yeah.
And she's yeah. No, she's just I don't know. She just
that's what I was gonna bring up with you. Have you seen the amount of authors that are appearing in their stuff now?
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Warren Buffett, you know who that is, right?
Yeah.
He was in Jurassic World. Probably the first one. The first one that came out like 2016. He's in that for like one shot. He grabs his strings and he runs away, and a thing, a raptor, whatever they call it, the flying lizards, grabs him. So there's a lot of that, and Stanley, and
I was looking online, right? So,
and just for clarification, I do not think Warren Buffett is a writer of this.
Okay, okay.
Don't.
So, like, every author I know, so Rachel Kane, she had a vampire series, which, by the way, you would absolutely adore. It's on YouTube, so if you look up Morganville Vampires, most underrated YA vampire series going. Oh, crap. I actually need to send I need to tell my co-writer I was in a comic book. I actually appear in a vampire comic book called The Vampire Mob. And I end up as 2 extras in that. Like, I drive the getaway car in the second one, and I appear out of the shadows in the first one. I don't know what I'm even doing in it, but... but yeah, every author I know who's had their stuff made, they make appearances. Like Rachel Kane's seen in the cafe writing on her computer. Heidi appears in the film in Forever Girl, and she's actually just about to do her second one. Her sequel's coming out, and she's apparently doing a cameo in it. like every author I know has done a cameo at some point in their stuff, and I'm like, what is that? Like, what's with that? But I can understand it.
It's just Easter eggs.
It's to draw the fans in, I think.
Well, it's also for try to get the rewatch, basically.
Yeah.
It's just to try to. We did that for commercials a lot. Like when I did a lot of commercials, we did a lot of that to.
Yeah.
To try and mess with rivaling companies. We put stuff in that could probably or most likely be the rivaling company that we beat, but it also was kind of vague, so we couldn't get sued, basically. And so we did that a lot for different things. But it's just basically to try and get someone to talk about it, to try and get a conflict started.
I mean, I've got I know at some point I have to write the trailers for the books, and I hate that because I don't like writing trailers.
Do you write the trailers? Do you write the...
Yeah, the book trailers, yeah.
Alright. So you just don't edit it? No.
Well, the thing is, because obviously we're doing Waking as a movie, I'm like, well, I don't really need to write that trailer because we can just pinch from the film for the book, you know? But with, Summer of Him, I actually have to come up with a trailer at some point.
Yeah.
But the audiobook's coming out. The audiobook trailer's coming out. And I wrote the trailer for that, which is kind of weird, because I'd never done an audiobook script before, which, you know.
Do they ever, because in the film industry, you always let someone else, well, not always, but I mean, most people let other people edit their trailers just because you want.
Well, I mean, I think the publisher's going to ask you about it, but we have to come up with what to put in the trailer.
Yeah.
And before, because I had no money, essentially, and I was a poor author, I used to just grab stuff from, the internet and put it together in a really crappy trailer. And that's what would get stuck out. Yeah. But now, it's because I'm getting to that next level, and I actually need to think about what I'm doing, I have to write a trailer, and then find some poor bugger to make it. Find people to star in it. Just to sell it, you know, and it's much more work than I think the publisher realizes.
When did that start? Because that's fairly new to me that you make trailers. I mean, I know this hasn't been going on
7 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, 6 or 7 years ago.
Did it have to do with the internet, or was it just?
It was a little bit, but it was more because Twilight did something similar.
Okay.
But she used T-shirts. She put out funny sayings on T-shirts, and then. You know, that's what took off. In fact, remember to have a conversation with you after this about that.
I only wear T-shirts. I don't wear anything.
No. Trust me, I've got something for you. But anyway, so it became a thing, and then of course I was broke, so I used to do it myself. I used to edit the footage together, and that would be it. But I never did that with Marie's World because me and Joe always wanted to get in the same room and put together a trailer just me and him, with me and him fighting, or a scene from Marie's World itself to kind of sell the series. But because of the way that Joe's schedule works and my schedules work, we've never actually been in the same room or in the same country at the same time. Well, no, we've been in the same country, we've just not been in the same room together. So it's never worked out, if you get my drift. Yeah. Whereas I'm hoping with me and him being in the same room, I might get a scene with me and him to promote the series. Because every time any reader has ever read Marie's World, they always see me in it, and it's so weird, because I think whenever Marie's World becomes a series, everyone's just going to automatically see me as Marie, because I've always been the presentation of her. And Joe's always been the presentation of Charlie. So it's going to be kind of hilarious for viewers to go from being so used to Joe and me to then seeing somebody else.
Yeah.
So yeah, at some point, me and Joe, that was something me and him had talked about, that when he comes over for media next time, me and him will just write up a scene and we'll do it. But I'm going to see if I can pull more people into it and try and make it bigger. But yeah, it's too much work otherwise.
Well, it's a proper shoot. I mean, that's the thing.
We were just going to grab a cell phone and do it on the cell phone. We were just gonna be lazy about it,
But there's planning involved, there's writing involved, there's acting involved, there's all that. Yeah. You can make a feature film off your cell phone. I mean, the cell phones are great.
I've seen it, but it's kind of funny because like we were trying to think of what we were going to do, so we might have you cameo the book trailer.
Yeah, sure, I would love to. I can be the wrestler beating the shit out of Joe.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
No,
I would pay for that. Okay, that is. I'm going to so tell Joe this.
No, you can tell him. Oh. I'll hide my. I'll get a secret address so you won't be able to find me.
Well, no, if we're waking, then that's where we were thinking about shooting the book trailer for Marie's World. Well, you guys were away filming. We were just gonna do it in the ring.
Did I just suggest something that we might? Oh, that.
Yeah, you just signed yourself up for that now.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah. Unless you can convince my co-writer to do it.
I'd pay him to do it.
Okay? You do know what his fee is, right?
Well, fuck. All right. So I am screwed, to be honest. There we go.
Yeah, because like he's gonna be like, oh yeah, I want to see this. So me and him will be sitting pissing ourselves on the sidelines.
This would actually be a good way to start the shoot. So we could do so. All right. So everybody, welcome. This we're gonna have the
Marcus beat up Joe for 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is the first read through of the script, and then for the main event, we're gonna have the stupid director try and beat up a wrestler. Well, that didn't work. No, it didn't. No.
Especially when Joe clotheslines you and you lie on the mat for like 10 minutes. Yeah. Or he locks you in a submission until you tap out.
Yeah, but let's have a think. Let's have a think before we decide to do this. I'm gonna consult my wife. No, she says no. Sorry.
You saw that's not gonna fly with the boys. That's not gonna fly. There's a reason, right, that I stay behind the scenes, because I get myself in trouble when I'm in the audience, because I do participate, and usually my participation leads me to doing stupid shit. So I normally hide in the back. But Joe's actually talking about getting me to walk around in the ring so that I can feel the difference between the dance floor and what a ring feels like.
Yeah, smart.
But I also have a feeling that that's going to lead to other things. I'm not stupid. I know he's going to want to do something with Marie and Charlie in the ring. Like, I know it's coming, but yeah. So. But what I think is funny is that when I wrote all of Marie's scenes with Harold, I had to picture acting those scenes with Raven. Yeah. Because when I needed a face. I was like, who could be more evil than Marie? And it was really hard because we were sitting and we were running through all these different wrestlers, and I'm like, no, that guy doesn't come across as intelligent enough. No, he's too violent. She wouldn't date him or whatever. And then we ended up with Marie and obviously Raven, which I didn't. When I was like thinking of his real name, I'm like, he doesn't. He kind of looks like a king of England or something. He had that kind of kingish. Yeah. Look about him. So I was like, he can be Harold. And then Joe's like, oh my gosh, Harold's like the worst name ever. And then it stuck. And we ended up with Harold. So tell me, if you're a viewer, tell me what's the thing that you think is going to be the most attractive thing about this film. Like, what is it that they need to see at a Waking?
About Waking?
Yeah.
Waking up with what?
You gotta pick what would make them go into the theater and sit in the seats. What is it that they have to see? I don't throw easy questions on this show.
No, it's not that. It's just it's
how to answer.
I know what it is. I know what it is, but that's also kind of the surprise with the.
Okay. So, I think I know what you mean, actually.
Yeah, it's I don't want to say that because I didn't know what spoil.
Pick something out of the script then.
What's that?
Pick something out of the script.
Well, for the opening scene, how the film opens.
Really?
That's gonna be almost how the film opens. Before the right.
That's not my favorite scene, by the way.
I know, but
my favorite scene got deleted, so.
Okay, I didn't know that. But
yeah. I like naughty. Okay, I'm a romance writer, so I like writing the naughty scenes. And you know how good I'm at that because I gave you an example, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that got cut. So
the opening scene of the film will have everybody thrown
completely sideways.
Down. Yeah, because it's like they're you're going to expect something, and then it's going to be something totally different, and it's going to go into what you expect, and then it's going to get out of it again and come back to what you expect it to be, and then there's going to be this big crescendo at the end where you go, holy shit.
Yeah, so, what did I just watch? Yeah.
The biggest appeal will be something that I can't really
talk about.
No, because then I would have to spoil things about the film and also about the cast, and that would be an issue.
Okay, as a director,
an issue as well, because I'd be sued.
Yeah. What are you most excited about as the director of this? Like, what's the thing that's making you most excited?
The blend of not the blend of genres, the blend of pacing in the film, the blend between the comedic aspects of it, where it's almost farcical, to the
it is a bit actually.
Yeah, to the deep down dives into like brutal honesty of relationships between people.
Yeah, I mean there is that brutal honesty, and I think it's funny because when I'm writing, I'm almost sort of tackling my own rule set. Yeah. Because it's like I have to put myself into. I don't think this is what my co-writer actually realizes, but when I write, I actually step into the shoes of whatever character I'm doing. So it's almost like I become emotionally attached to whoever I'm writing with because you're having an intimate experience with writing it. Yeah. And that's kind of what I kind of bring across, is that there is that intimacy when you're writing about it. And then at the same time, I think it's very awkward as well because, you know, this isn't somebody you necessarily know very well. And then you have that kind of back and forth.
That's the thing when it comes from when the script goes to the director and then because that intimate dance between the people, that has to come through.
Oh, it does. I think it does anyway.
No, I know, but I mean, it has to translate through the director, through the DOP to the camera operator, who's actually who's the one that's closest to the actors. Yeah. So it's like picking the right DOP for the project is essential. But,
yes, I can't wait to hear how you're getting on with that.
Well, it's also there's so many secrets to this project, but it's going well. but then also picking the camera operator because actors
that's going to be hard. That's going to be hard, finding the right person.
It's not going to be hard. It's just a process. We just have to pick the right one. We have to pick someone who has the sensibility to be close.
You might need to have a conversation with my partner in crime then, because he might have a good idea. He might have a good idea, or Joe might have a good idea. But to be honest with you, I would talk to Bill. I think, you know.
Well, I don't think I'm going to talk to any one of them actually, because I want because it's
considering not, how many years that they've done that, and you don't want to ask them.
Well, they haven't done film. The writer has, but the so we're not doing wrestling.
Well, that's true. True.
Yeah. So it's like there are. So it's no, all everything they have and all their experience they have, we will have to translate that into a working film.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that's right.
So whoever they like as a DOP doesn't really matter to me, because I have to like them.
So I have to ask, when you read this 20 pages, do you actually feel like there's an intimacy coming through from me and this person, or has that not really kind of translated yet?
No, I gave you feedback on the 20 pages, but it has
kind of. All I got was a one word answer. Really isn't feedback, but okay.
No, but so this is really good. There are things that we have to cut down.
Yeah. I knew that was coming anyway.
Yeah, so. But I mean that's something we agree on anyways. Yeah. So it's.
We may have to have a meeting about that though.
What was that?
We might actually have to have a meeting with my partner in crime on that one.
Your partner, we'll figure it out. That's not a problem. It's like what I said before too. There's the distributors, there's the sales agents, there's the financiers.
we're all gonna have to, give and take. But I'm just saying, it would be interesting to hear that conversation with me sitting quietly on the sidelines.
It'll be fun.
I'm wanting to be the fly on the wall for this one. I don't want to be cut out of this phone call.
I do this all the time. I don't.
Yeah.
This is.
It's funny to me because I argue probably 75 to 80% of the time. Like, if I think we're waffling. But at the same time, there's almost like a respect level where I go, oh, okay, he's done this longer than me. I should shut up and listen to him. You know? Because he has done it longer than me.
The problem is, and this is actually something something that David Fincher said a long time ago.
Yeah.
The person who gets the most praise, and the most criticism is always the director, and so he is the one who has
us
to
writers are invisible.
Exactly, but it's like, but that's it's bad when there's a lot of praise, because then the director gets all the praise, and he gets praise for things that he had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
But he also gets blamed for everything that he also had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
So it's like, at the end of the day, you have to shoot something that you actually believe in. So that's why there are going to be things where I go, well, it has to be this way.
I feel sorry for the poor person that you're going to stick to follow me around with the camera.
What's that?
I feel sorry for whoever is like the cameraman that's following us behind the stage. Because like all you're going to see is me going, "You're in my way for the coffee maker. Move or die." You know?
We're not going to have to go to the coffee maker. They're going to bring coffee to us. That's the best thing about being...
Well, God, that would be even worse, because every time I finish one, or I put my cup down and I turn around, somebody else is going to hand me another coffee, and I'm going to be like, ooh, and then by the time Ian gets me at the end of the day, I'm going to be like... vibrating across the floor, and he's going to be like, how much coffee did you have today? And I'll be like, I don't know. Or you're going to find me in the gym at like midnight trying to burn off all the coffee.
Like a crazy person.
I'll probably be stretching actually, because that's my thing. Like I like to I do like yoga, stretching, dance, posing, because all that builds your flexibility and your mobility.
Yeah.
Big word. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, what's the thing you're dreading the most about this?
Dreading the most. I don't. Oh. What would that be?
I know what it is. I know what I am anyway.
For you or for me?
Or for you. But I know what mine is.
I don't. To be honest, I don't. I mean, this is the ride. I mean, this is like.
For me, it's the flight.
Wow. All right. Yeah. Okay. You're right. Well, that's probably okay.
Because I mean, if you think about it, I've got a 14-hour flight. Yours will be what, 15?
Well, it depends on where we. Well, yeah, something like 15, 16. It's not that.
I just hope to God we don't fly into Philly though.
I mean, yeah, that's probably when it comes to the process of actually making movies. It's such a blessing to be able to do it. So
yeah, I love being around the set and around everybody. My thing is always the travel part. Like I get really excited on planes and stuff, and then I fall asleep, and I always feel guilty because I'm always with Ian, and I sleep and he doesn't. So by the time I get to the hotel, I'm like fully rested, ready to go, want to go off and do something, and he's like the zombie, you know. He crashes. And it's like, you know, I always feel guilty for that, because I'm always the one that's going, I can't sleep, I need to go do something, I want to go do this, I want to go do that, and he's like, shut up and go to sleep, you know.
Yeah. It's going to be a long time over the pond, so I can actually, what I actually going to be dreading most is
jet lag?
The situation with the family, where my daughter is going to go.
I have to figure out how to, because I was like, well, I don't know how long we're going to be gone for, so I was like trying to figure out, do I take the cats with me?
Yeah, we've had the same conversation. Do we? Because we're going to bring. I'm going to bring my daughter, of course. So she's going to go to school where we're shooting it.
Yeah.
But we have a cat, and it's like we can't leave the cat.
No, well, I mean, I got two, and my fur babies are literally my fur babies. Yeah. So I was like, because I had to ask my dad. I was like, I said to my dad, I'm like, I know you're retiring. Can you take care of my two cats if I have to go? And he's like, really, Crystal? And I'm like, yeah.
It's kind of like giving them away, though, because it's like...
It is a bit, yeah. And I don't want to do that, because, I mean, honestly, if you saw some of the stuff they do, like, my oldest one tries to drink my husband's milk from the cereal while he's eating it, by the way, which is absolutely hilarious. And then my youngest one also tries to do it, so it's almost like the two of them are battling over him for the milk. And I just find that funny. And then there's like these really cute moments where they lie next to him and they fall asleep and they hold his hand. And then you're just like, aww. But yeah, like, I think, I don't know, like, because I was saying to Ian, if I find out how long we're going to be out there, then we can make arrangements, but...
Well, I mean, for you, it might not be that, I mean, because for me, it's I mean, it's the entire post-production. It's like...
Well, yeah, you've got entire post, but I don't know, well, I'm executive and I'm a writer, so...
Well, I mean, you're not going to be in the edit suite every day.
So I get to leave after that, then?
Well, I mean, no, but I mean, during the shooting, you're going to be there pretty much every day.
Yeah, annoying you, probably.
But shooting isn't the... I mean, okay, granted, there's not that many special effects in this film, so it's basically... there's a little bit, but it's more basically when we're done editing, we're done. Not really, but pretty much. And I know there's sound and stuff like that, but I'm not going to... Yeah.
Well, you can see how interested mine is, because he's playing peekaboo with you.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, there he is.
He's actually been playing peekaboo with you for like 5 minutes.
I saw him before. He was up. He was
He comes around and he likes to see who I'm talking. He's like there, and then so my cat comes and sees him and then leaves again.
Yeah.
But it's like a constant rotation. They just come round in circles, and it's so hard to type while my cat's doing circles to see if he's gone away yet. And of course there's times when he screeches, and then if my cat's lying at my feet and he screeches, my cat literally jumps into the air, lands on the foot of my armrest, and I nearly get flipped out the chair, and I'm like... so it's funny. But yeah, I'll edit that in better.
yeah. You take that out. But we have to wrap this up anyway.
Yeah, we do, because we've done 2 hours. I'll probably wrap it at like... I'll cut it down. It's fine. Yeah. So you survived the Book and Life podcast. You're coming back with Joe.